So, good evening, good evening, good evening. We are back again, and it has been an absolute while since James Redmond's been on the channel. Last time James was on the
Yes.
channel, Liverpool were going for trebles, quadruples, winning titles, winning cups, Champions League finals, and now
Zoo.
it's whoosh straight off the cliff. And Arsenal back then were doing eighth place finishes, bottling top fours, and we're king of the hill right now. James, how you been first and foremost? How are you and the family? What's happened to your team, man?
I like the way that was like nice and diggy, and I expect you to be diggy when you give me an intro. You absolute Budweiser, James Maddison. Listen here, Lee. Here's the score, right? Here's the score. Yet we're not great at football, right? And we're definitely. I understand like why people would say I've got a defeated mentality because I thought we were actually going to be lower at this point a couple of weeks back. So when we were 3-4 games into the season, automatically I'm thinking to myself, nah, this is going to go really tits up because I'm not someone who likes to use the injury cards of, oh, that's why we never beat Leeds or that's why we never beat this team. Not the case. But overall, on a consistent basis, it's going to have an impact on the amount of points that you get. Furthermore, when you think about, I think a lot of Liverpool fans aren't opening up to this. The idea of some of our players just maybe being a bit over the line, just a bit old and still decent, but not enough to be winning new league titles or Champions Leagues. But yeah, if they go to Leicester, they'll be brilliant, superb, because that could be their level now. But I think fans need to realise that change within the squad is needed. I think what speaks volumes to that is the players who have done well, the Kanates, the Shimakases, the players who aren't the Premier League and Champions League winners. Like Salah's picked it up a little bit recently. Nunez is now getting more goals. And again, Nunez is good if you're sixth. But if you're competing for league titles and Champions Leagues, that's the only place where I think it gets a bit dicey for me. Like all the Gabriel Jesus comparison. I just don't like it because we were the Bobby Firmino fan club. We were like, you don't need numbers if you've got a false nine. And now we're just excluding all the great work that Gabriel Jesus does and saying, but Nunez has got the numbers. And I love Nunez. I love the passion. I love the way he can't speak a single word of English, but he just tries hard and he runs loads and he gets goals. But can that take you further than top four or top three? That's where I'm unsure. So that's my overall summary in a brief paragraph for you of Liverpool at the moment.
It's been a mad drop. Like I know you're sitting there, you're kind of sitting on the fence. I thought we'd be a bit lower and all of that. Yeah, deep down, I don't think you did. Yeah, like I'm not saying you're lying, but did when you were sitting there and like you won the cup double last season, you lost the Champions League final, you missed out on the league by what was it, 1 point again? Or yeah, it was last day, wasn't it? Aston Villa,
point, yeah.
Man City, Aston Villa. But at one point you were top and going to win it, and then all of a sudden, bang, 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 City. They do it all the time, man. But did you genuinely, when you got Nunez come in, you got rid of Mane, going into this summer window, did you genuinely think that when you signed Nunez and Mane leaving and not seeing any midfielders of any note come into the club, did you actually genuinely think that you'd be this bad?
No, so I want to rephrase what I said before. At the start of the season, never did I nor anyone think Liverpool were going to be sixth or even a couple of games ago when we were 8th or 9th. But when it got to about 3, 4, 5 games into the season, that's when I thought, we need to really cling on before this World Cup. I said a couple of weeks ago, I think by the time the World Cup comes around, I think we'll be about 8th or something like that. So that's what I mean when I say I thought we were going to be doing worse at this point. At the start of the season, my prediction was, funnily enough, City, Liverpool, and then Arsenal. That was my top 3 prediction before the season begun. And Nunez, there's a TikTok clip out there, I'll send it to you. It went like quite viral. Do you know them TikTok clips that just get a couple 100,000 views at a time? It was like one of those. And it was me saying I didn't want Nunez. I said, because all Liverpool fans used the game against us where he scored 2 goals. And Nunez is decently. It's just, I didn't think he was going to get us better. I didn't think he was better than Mane. I didn't think he has the all-round game. I think he's an outlet. I think he can get goals. But does that improve you to where you need to be? I don't think it does. And the only thing I said about Nunez is I don't like his technical ability. I think he's got sound movement. And I also think our style of play suits him. High line, allows those quick strikers to run in behind. I thought he was destined to have a really good game against Liverpool in the Champions League. And it was certainly overpriced for me. I saw Isaac go to Newcastle for significantly cheaper. And I think he's a more all-rounded or more well-rounded striker. Gabriel Jesus, who I understand City probably wouldn't sell to us as they probably saw us more as a direct title competitor. but that's another player all day I'd have been all over, because I just think the model that has been proven in the Premier League era, Lee, to have the best system, to get the most points, the most dominant system, is the ones where you've got the false nines opposed to the out-and-out number nines. You're seeing it a bit now with City. Still really good, but even if they're 10 points worse, is that to do with the fact they've got a striker? And instead of him getting 10 goals, him getting 15, him getting 20, instead of him just getting 40. Does that kind of make sense? It's not a bad thing to have an outlet.
Because now it's, oh my God, whip the ball into Haaland. Whereas before they had Mahrez as false nine, Foden false nine, Grealish false nine, Jesus coming off the bench or playing on the wing and drifting in. You know, you've had Bernardo playing for. They've had everyone. Kevin De Bruyne play false nine. Yeah, and I mean I think you've got a point. I think you've got a good point with that. The thing with Nunez, like we were linked to him. Yeah, in the January window, we were linked to him, and my chat was lighting up. And Arsenal fan, you know what Arsenal fans are like on social media. The clips start doing the rounds with pop smoke music, and oh yes, let's get Darwin there. And I was just sick of hearing his name. I said, I don't care how many goals he scored in Portugal. Don't want him. Yeah, I'm just if Arsenal fans want him en masse, I don't want him tonight. It's like that's how anything they want, I don't. Right, I'm just going to go the opposite way. Right, but when he came in, like. I see him get triggered at Palace and end up getting sent off, but I haven't seen him hit a ball cleanly yet. Like his control's not great. Like, I do think he's getting a little bit better, and he will score goals, like you said, because the volume of chances you create, he will not score goals, if that makes sense. Yeah, he will get 10, 15, maybe 20 goals, but is he going to elevate Liverpool right up to the top of the tree? No way. Bobby Firmino, for me, is one of the most underrated players in the league. I've said that for years. Yeah, and I think that when you had Mane, Salah, and him as the three, it was fluid. Yeah, everyone knew what they were doing. There was rumours that Salah don't talk to Mane. Who cares, man? That front three was ridiculous as a three. But I think where the biggest problem Liverpool have is midfield. Your midfield, bro. I look at it. Fabinho needs WD-40. That guy is so stiff it is mad. Then you've got Jordan Henderson, again, a player that I think is a lot underrated, like because he don't get the props because he's not got a foreign name. Yeah, but he is a good player. But he's over the hill now. Fabinho's not good enough. Keita's always injured, and when he plays, he just don't do it for me. Then you've got Harvey Elliott, who's a kid coming off the back of a big injury, who I think's been very good this season, by the way. Then you've got Thiago, brilliant footballer, but always
one
injured.
In every 3 games.
Exactly.
That's what you get.
Exactly. He'll do a great performance 1 every 3 because he can't be a one-man midfield, especially with his size, his like stature. It's all well and good having the passing, the technical know-how, and the vision and all that, but you can't do it on your own, right? Especially when you're coming up against big men in midfield, like, and he's 5'2" or whatever he is, yeah. And then you've got Oxlade-Chamberlain, can't believe he's still there. James Milner, model professional, but why is he still there? Like he's older than Ronaldo, I think. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like when you look at your midfield. That is where I am baffled Liverpool didn't go and sign this summer. Forget Nunez. Like, you could have gone and got somebody else. Like you said, Isak at Newcastle. You could have maybe put a bid in for Jesus and just tested the water. You know, if you really wanted to go and get somebody else, you could have maybe put a bid in for, I don't know, Callum Wilson or somebody random. Yeah, just, you know, Callum Wilson's a good player.
Ivan Toney was one that I was thinking.
Ivan Toney. And he's a Liverpool fan.
And he's a Liverpool fan. It would have made
proper
sense.
Liverpool fan. So, and he wouldn't have cost 85 mil.
Facts.
Yeah, it wouldn't have cost 85. And this is where I think that if you had gone out and bought a striker for less money, you could have then invested in midfield. Yeah, you could have gone and got Yves Bissouma for 26 mil. You could have got Ivan Toney and Bissouma for the price that you've paid for the striker you've got now. And instantly you're a better team because Ivan Toney's a better footballer. He'll probably score about the same amount of goals, if not more. He knows the Prem, so you don't need to get him bedded in.
Not a bad age as well, Lee. Not a bad age.
26, 27?
Exactly, going right into his prime, which is.
And then you get Yves Bissouma in there as well, who again knows the league, played week in, week out in a Brighton team that were playing good football. Yeah, so he just slots straight into Liverpool. I'm shocked you ain't done that. And I think that's where your biggest cock up is. Now add into the fact that Virgil van Dijk is not the player he was since that injury. Yeah, and I love Virgil. I think he's been the best centre-back on the planet for the last 5 years. Yeah.
What's your solution for Virgil van Dijk then? Do you think it's a case of we've got to replace him now, or do you still think, even though he's not what he was, he's still one of the best centre-backs in the league? Because I agree with the latter.
I still think he's one of the best centre-backs in the league, but I think that shows the standard of centre-backs in the league, if I'm honest. And that's not a diss at Virgil van Dijk, because like I said, I think he's been superb, bro. Like, I've really rated that guy highly. When we signed Gabriel Paulista, yeah, we could have got him for the same price. and we went and got Paulista instead of him, and it was like, what? Like, but you've had a great run out of him, but he's the wrong side of 30. He's come off a massive injury. The pressure of playing for Liverpool in terms of press, chase Harry, do everything. He's lost that like explosiveness over the first 5 yards. Nobody's scared of him anymore. How many times have we seen him get spun this season? Bro, you never see that guy get spun, ever. Yeah, he's doing like baby giraffe in the box every game now. And I'm like, this guy's done. His legs are gone. He's finished. For me, I think that you need to get rid of him in the summer, keep him for the rest of the season. The answer to who to get, I don't know, man, because the pool of centre-backs now, it's not great. Nobody jumps out of me.
There's just no logical sense to sell Virgil van Dijk anytime soon. I understand one eye open, start looking at people who can replace him over the next 2 to 3 seasons. Simply with the model that we possess, it's just not possible. With the other positions that we need to improve as well, it's just not. Yeah, so you mentioned the midfield before. We don't just need one midfielder. We need about 2 or 3. Keita's going to be on his way out, no doubt about it. Oxlade-Chamberlain, we've been given no bids because everyone knows he's unreliable as a footballer, and do we want to take on his wages? Because the only clubs who want him is probably the more less poor clubs in the Premier League or the less poor clubs in the Championship, because you don't want to take on a player who has got such little reliability. It just makes so much sense when you see, based on recent history, usually if a team takes on a player who's injury prone, it doesn't usually work out. So why are we going to take that risk when there's no guarantee of promotion or whatever the target is? Anyway, so Oxlade, Keita, you've also got Milner in that equator as well, who, again, I am on the very same page as you. James Milner, legend of my football club, first piece of the jigsaw, like Milner's boss. But it's like, so yeah, I love my nan, and my nan's brilliant for loads of things, but you know, if I'm carrying a fucking telly down the stairs, I'm not going to ask my nan to help, because she's me fucking nan. It's a very basic premise. But if I want to have a cup of tea with a couple of biscuits, my nan has got more than enough facilities to complete that task, with very little issues as well, by the way, Lee. James Milner, same thing. Yes, he has the motivation. Yes, he has the presence. Yes, I can conduct the choir and motivate and make sure everyone's levelled out. But you do not start games of football. You do not come on with 10, 15 minutes to go, because one, that hinders younger players' opportunities. Klopp's not perfect. I think he's the best for our current circumstances, but no manager, in my opinion, is perfect. Klopp's certainly one of those. And I just think when you're talking about constantly bringing through youth players, and that's what we want to build, because we've done that at Dortmund and we've done this, and I love that concept. I really do. I like the idea of giving them opportunities. But the cream will always rise to the top, for one. And two, if these can't get above a 37-year-old James Milner, either you're not looking at the youth as much as you say you do, or James Milner maybe is just still really good at football in your eyes, which I think we've seen isn't the case. So the point that I'm leading to is all these midfielders, even Henderson, he should probably now be demoted to the Milner role. Plays once every few games and whatnot. We've said Thiago as well. Thiago is just that good, you don't sell him. But you need the reliable midfielders around him. And
you
then
need legs
Thiago
around him.
Exactly.
Let him sit deep, let him do what he's doing.
And then let him come in, even if it's once every 2-3 games, let him play in the biggest games of the season. Boss, because you're a significantly better squad just having Thiago there. So I'm fine with leaving him. And then that's still 3 midfielders you've got to replace. Maybe if we've got a lone player, you could make it 2 if you want to be cheapskates. But that's the point. The point that I'm making there is Virgil van Dijk and selling him would just make no sense to me in the short term, purely on the premise that means we have to go out and we need to go and buy another world-class centre-back when we've still got to accommodate for 2 really, really good midfielders. And I just know you need a lot of work, my club, so
you need a lot of work, and it's a lot of money. Like, there's been all the talk about Jude Bellingham. You know, if let me ask you very quickly, do you think you'll get top 4 this season?
If I had to put all my money on it, no.
Wow. So if you don't, let's assume you don't get top 4, because there's been talk of Jude Bellingham coming to you, and you're going to put a bidding in the summer and all of this, and that's been festering away in the background for about a year or so. Yeah. If you don't get top 4, do you think he's coming? Because he's going to have to pick a Madrid, Barcelona, probably Bayern Munich, like maybe even Arsenal. You know, if Arsenal win the league, bro.
Lee, here is story time with James. Yeah, so get on this, lads. If this Redmond's Army viewers watching this, you'll know this analogy. So, I really want a 6-pack, but because my love for the Dominoes outweighs my want for a 6-pack, it really means I don't really want a 6-pack. So, yeah, I want one, but I don't really want one. The exact same way, Lee, FSG want Jude Bellingham, but don't really want Jude Bellingham. Because he's a little bit too much, and why are we going to go and spend 100 to 150 million when? That does not guarantee you a Premier League title, Lee. Do you get the page that I'm saying on, brother? So as much as I want my six-pack, I love Domino's well more, so I'm going to stick to my Domino's, my G. You feel me? It's 20 quid. Yeah, it's expensive, but the pizza is absolutely glorious and gorgeous. So I'm sticking on that path. It's an easier life, bro. And when FSG believe, okay, we've got a manager who's done wonders for seasons, it's like, if you leave, I don't know, a tooth to rot, it's going to go eventually, you know what I mean, if you don't go to the dentist. Liverpool can keep getting away. So we had 2 seasons ago when we had loads of injuries, Nathaniel Deeney, Van Phillips playing at the back, smashed it, by the way, but very lucky to get third, especially when you assess the circumstances around the league in that season. Chelsea bottled it last day of the season. Good old Brendan Rodgers doing his old team a solid. Like, there was circumstances that got you third. As happy as I am with it, Alisson goal and all that, you still need to improve the all-round premise because it will end up biting you in the ass. And I always, sorry that I'm rambling, Lee, I'll round up in a second.
On, man.
But FSG, right, I just think, like, they've always been happy with top 4. I think you know what Arsenal's owners, Lee. Top 4, and we're buzzing. I think Man United, they want a little bit more because they have to, but at least if they get top 4, then it's custy days, and we saw that under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. That's the common theme with these specific American owners, because I don't want to categorise all of them. I'm just saying these specific ones, that seems to be the theme. Jurgen Klopp's done a great job at that, even done it a couple of seasons ago. It's only so long until it bites you back in the arse and you don't get top 4. That's why I think we're very lucky to have won a league title, very lucky to have won a Champions League, because I understand, I think you used the thing that we spent like 600 million since Klopp taken over. Insane numbers, by the way. But also in comparison to the players that we sell, the lack of wages that we have to offer to certain superstars. We couldn't pay Erling Haaland 500 grand a week that City can pay him. We can't invest or choose not to invest millions upon millions upon millions to a youth academy that's going to generate 100 to 200 million in wealth for the football club, therefore meaning you can go and spend more. We just don't have those resources. So
on that basis then, right, because you've got 3 Champions League finals under Klopp.
Yep.
You've got a Europa League final under Klopp.
Yep.
You've had 2 League Cup finals under Klopp.
Yep.
You've had an FA Cup final under Klopp. And you've been in the title race for 3 out of the last 4 years, pretty much, or 4 out of the last 5.
90 plus points, yeah.
Yeah. So you've done all of that with your owners being crap. Now it's all come on top. And it's funny because me and Rance were speaking about ownership yesterday. And at that point, all the way through that, nobody was crying about the owners. I'm not saying you are, but nobody was moaning about the owners. And it seems same with us. We're top of the table right now. I've not seen one cronky outpost because we're top. And it seems like only when it falls down and it starts unraveling and the onion starts peeling, all of a sudden it's, oh shit, we're fucked. Now let's blame the owner. You know, Man United have done it. Chelsea have done it with this ownership that they've got now. From the minute he walked in the door, he was a dead man standing or walking. Yeah, and as soon as you get a couple of bad results, it's the owner's fault. Liverpool now, because they do need a rebuild, and they need a lot of players. You need at least 2 midfielders. We said that. You need at least a centre back. You need a couple more wingers and right backs or left backs to cover because the quality drop off is insane. Once the first team has come out, the drop off's mad. Yeah, but you need about 6 or 7 players of decent quality in that squad to do that and maintain the levels that you've hit under Klopp. That's about 300-400 mil, and you are not going to spend that. So how comes and this is why I want Arsenal fans that are watching this to get on the owners now. We are top of the table now. Go and get on them now and go and improve that squad now. Because what will happen is if we don't improve the squad, we'll fall away. We won't win the league. We'll get top 4. Yay, let's go again. And then we'll never get in a title race again. Yeah, because Man City are looking and go, flipping hell, Arsenal will close this season. Let's go and do another 200 mil. Yeah, and then you're going to do some money. Man United, Chelsea, Tottenham, Newcastle, they'll all start throwing money at it next season. And why is it that Liverpool fans just pushed that under the carpet the whole time Klopp was doing well and Liverpool were doing well?
So I can't speak for the majority of Liverpool fans. I think it's a very common theme with certain Arsenal fans, certain Man United fans. I think there's just an uneducated group in every single fan base, especially when you consider the largeness of each fan base as well. So the bullshit is going to override absolutely everything. My perspective on this certain topic, if you will, FSG have been here since 2010, I believe. It might be 2011, no, but I think it's 2010. Let's look at the common theme. So Michael Edwards was there the whole time. We all know about how boss Michael Edwards was, and FSG were there the whole time. Now, when did the periods of success come? Because it went under Rodgers, where we invested a lot of money, sold Suarez, reinvested that into Lazar Markovic, Ricky Lambert, Mario Balotelli, Fabio Barini, by the way. All under the same ownership. Lee, all under the same ownership. Charlie Adam, Jay Speeding, all under the same ownership, Lee. All under the same Michael Edwards, the genius. Now, when did the tide start to shift? When did we start getting to finals? Yes, losing finals, but finals that we weren't getting to before. Brendan Rodgers had a shit track record in Europe. Liverpool Football Club having a manager with a shit track record in Europe, that's got to change instantly. And I know we lost, but still getting the Europa League final and League Cup final in your first season after nothing but obscurity under Brendan Rodgers if you didn't have a Luis Suarez. Let's be real. That's it. That is instant improvement. Then he starts getting your Champions League football, 3 Champions League finals. I believe football's all about the experience, the opportunities to compete. That's everything Klopp has give us. Now, notice the way it's only Klopp, Lee. Notice the way it's only Klopp, and notice the way it weren't just, it's this player who's saving Klopp. It's this player, it's Luis Suarez. No, it's everyone. It's all the players he brought in that made the difference.
James, it's hammering down with rain. I need to get my washing in quick, yeah?
Not a problem. Right, yeah, chat. Let's have here's a minute with Hammer. So, chat, here's the thing that I'm saying. Jurgen Klopp has brought our most successful period, definitely in the Premier League era, no doubt about it. No if, buts, or maybes, or ands, or buts. If, ands, or buts. The point in conclusion is if we're going to be shit before Jurgen with the same owners, what's the difference when Jurgen comes in? See where I'm going with this, chat? Do you feel me? Do you feel me? Let me know what you all think before Lee comes back. I'll read a few of your comments. Lee James, Alberto Moreno. Oh, Alberto Moreno was a seedy footballer, but he did kind of redeem himself when he done what did he do? Man United, get out, Man United, get out. That was hilarious. That was brilliant. A-goal content. Someone needs to do a podcast with Alberto Moreno. He just spoke there funny. Had that he was like a scouser.
He plays for Villarreal, didn't
he? Yeah, but he's like a bench warmer. But you know what,
he
lads?
Still won the Europa League with Villarreal.
The Europa League with Villarreal, lads.
Against Man United.
He lost us the Europa League, but he kind of made up for it with the Man United clip, lad. That was golden.
No, but you're right though, man. Like me and Rand spoke about this yesterday. Like if you've got a manager, that's just going to be a puppet basically for the ownership, then you're never going to get anywhere. Like if you've got a manager that is an experienced manager that's experienced in winning trophies at the highest level, Champions League finals, winning league titles, competing all the way, and you bring that person in, instantly the bounce from Brendan Rodgers up to here, straight away with Klopp is massive. So you will get a better performance out of them. The easiest way to put that into context, Steve Bruce was 19th in the table 1 year ago with Newcastle. They sack him and bring Eddie Howe in. They're third. Yeah. How can you go from 19th to third and have 1 transfer win or 2 transfer windows?
Unreal.
And the mad thing is, the players that they've brought have not been players that we couldn't have got, because it's not like they're getting exclusive players to Newcastle. Yeah. Isak could have gone to you. He could have come to us. We were linked to him. Our fans were following cars around London with Isak number plate on. Like, do you know what I mean? It weren't even his car. No, they brought Bruno Guimaraes, a player that trolled us when he signed for Newcastle because we were linked to him. They brought in Trippier, a player that could have gone to either of our football clubs. He was available. Atleti didn't want him anymore. You know,
Mike's is the one where I'm thinking, how did we not do that?
He's a top player, that Bruno, as well.
Brilliant.
Botman at centre-back. There's a centre-back that could replace Van Dijk. Botman. Yeah, they paid 30 million for him. He's been the second best centre-back in the league this season after Saliba. Yeah, Saliba, well, maybe Lissandro. Them three have been superb this season. But that is a centre-back that you, as a football club, or Arsenal could have gone for, or any of the other top 6 teams. So
we were linked to spend Botman when we had loads of injuries as well. A couple of seasons ago, we were linked to
30 mil, bro. So these things are not unobtainable. But the funniest thing is, apart from Botman, the players that Newcastle have had and signed this summer are not the ones that are their standout players this season. It's been your Almirons, your Callum Wilsons, players like that. Joe Willock stepped up again the other day. Like,
People
it's been players that were already there under Steve Bruce. So if you get a better manager in, you get a better performance normally. Slightly different with Arsenal, because I don't necessarily think Arteta's proven it now, but for the first 2.5 seasons, I don't think he was better than Unai Emery. Whether he goes on to be better than Unai Emery, who knows? Yeah, but in terms of Arsenal output, yes, he's won an FA Cup. So on that basis, he's better than Emery because he's won a trophy, right? But in terms of league position, which is what our fans care about more than anything, hence why we got dumped out the cup, and I was negative because I wanted to stay in it. Yeah, it was like, you've got dumped out the cup. Stop being negative. We've got bigger fish to fry. Bro, it's a trophy. Like, give me the trophy. Yeah, but this season, we've been superb. Yeah, I don't think even the biggest Arteta fan could have sat there at the start of the season and said, bro, you're going to be top. We're going to be top of the league. We're only going to lost to United, drop points to Southampton. We'll be top of the table. Bro, we slapped Southampton. We should have battered them in the first half. Yeah, but having said that, in the last 5-10 minutes, if that game had gone for another 10 minutes, we would have lost. Yeah, they were all over us. Yeah, and then Man United, we cocked that game up. 1-1, we get it back to, and instead of sitting back for 10 minutes or 5 minutes making subs, we just opened the door and they went 3-1. Bosh.
Yeah.
But we could have potentially been sat there 14 out of 14. And mate, that's insane. But this is the levels you have to go to if you want to win the league and if you want to compete. You've shown that. You and Man City a couple of seasons ago were winning like 16, 17 straight games. Yeah, and every time you'd win, they're playing, then they win. Every time they win, shit, now the pressure's on Liverpool. We've got to win. Yeah. But if Arsenal want to compete for that, they have to compete for that level. Yeah, and so far this season, we've done that. I want to ask you, do you think we're going to win it? Or at least compete to the end?
Yeah. Yeah, I've been saying also, I said that you were going to finish third at the start of the season. Admittedly, I thought it was going to be a bit of a distance third. I thought us and City were going to take it, like usual, as further as we possibly can. I thought City were going to finish first, us second, you third. And the reasoning behind it is just because last season I even said, I said on a show with Turkish, I said to him, Turkish, like, we're going to beat you in the League Cup and Tottenham will finish above you because Conte will do that. But you will bounce back and become better than them. It's just, Conte is the very short-term effect. And even all these signings that people were so braggadocious or whatever the word is about, it's Conte, and I love Conte in terms of the short-termism that he offers, but I know that it was very difficult to recognise with Mikel Arteta because, I don't think people take into consideration the amount of shit that he took over with, and I know Unai Emery got them to a Europa League final and stuff like that, but Arteta got the last bit out of the squad when he won the FA Cup. From there, it was the rebuild. There's only so much a manager can do to get the best out of these players. I'm not saying you couldn't have been 2 places better than what you was, because you maybe could have. But if you let's say if you're an expert in one certain realm, which is tactics or technical players, or say if your way of communicating psychology, mentally, or what's the word I'm looking for? Is it psychology? Just when you're trying to get to the players on a more emotional level, maybe.
Yeah. So psychological level,
psychological level. So kind of like the way Graham Potter has like a degree in psychology, and that I think that's really important. So maybe he connects to a certain type of player. So unless you've seen everything behind the scenes, I think the board have noticed that Arteta is very ambitious, and I also think he's adapting the model that's worked over the past couple of years. City, when did they get the most 100 points, 99 points and all these? When was that? It was without an out-and-out number 9, but everyone was contributing to the team. You get 3 or 4 different people on 20 plus.
Yeah, Mahrez was, I think Mahrez in the last 2.5 seasons, including this half season, I think he's been their top goal scorer.
Unbelievable.
And he ain't played every game.
Exactly. Even look at Sterling, who just went to Chelsea. But the work that you can do when you can play that player in a certain type of way. Now, if we look at Arteta, eventually it took the time and whatnot, because Arsenal, I remember everyone saying that they needed a whole new 11. I agreed with that premise. Now you've basically got that. And you're already seeing the differences because he's added Saliba, who's his man. He's got Saka, who's a year older. He's got Martinelli, who's a year older. Gabriel Jesus, who's that one who connects everything together, can get the odd goal, but isn't an outlet. But he improves the all-round team. Playing Granit Xhaka in a midfield position because he's now got those other midfielders that can play in the roles that Granit Xhaka was trying to complement. But now Granit
Xhaka in our half is a liability. Granit Xhaka in the opposite half, he's been our best player this season.
But this is what honestly, I mean.
Don't face him to our own goal. That guy will concede goals left, right, and center. Play him that way, we're fine.
But when you can get Thomas Partey playing consistently, oh, brilliant, because now you've got that balance. So when you've got the balance of a really good defence, a really good attack, and a midfield that outruns opposition's midfields, historically, that tells me you should be in a title race. And I do think you will be. I don't think you'll win it.
What do you think is going to stop us? Because I've said this, and I said it a minute ago. This is now, we're top of the table. I've not seen any other Arsenal channel out there saying, now go and get on the Cronkies. Like, I'm not an owner in, owner out type of person, bro. I've been there 8 years ago, holding banners outside the ground and crap, It's still here, right? But at the end of the day, they do watch everything you do on social media. Liverpool do it for you lot. We have it with Arsenal. Every top team watches what's happening online and gets the general consensus. I'm the only channel that I've seen that's saying, right, now go and batter this ownership, batter the board, batter these people in high positions to go and get us 2 or 3 players. If we went out there in the January window and people would laugh at this and say, go and get Ivan Toney. What, you tell me we can't beat up Brentford for their striker? Come on. Yeah, you telling me we can't go and get James Maddison off Leicester? Yeah, you're telling me we can't go and get Wilfried Zaha if we wanted him. He's got 6 months left. Can't beat Palace up. Telling me we can't go and beat Brighton up for Calcedo. If we went and brought 3 of them, it cost about 150 mil. But that'd save you an absolute fortune in the summer anyway. Yeah, because you'd only need to add 1 or 2 in the summer. But you might actually win the league. I've not seen any other channel do that, bro. Because most of our fans that I've seen are just happy with where we are now. And, oh, well, the target was 4th. Yeah, but the target was 4th at the start. But we're top by 5. Now let's go and do it. And that's why I get irked with it. Because it's like, I've been waiting 18 years to see my team win a league again, man. Like, and it's driving me nuts. We should have won it in 08. We should have won it in 14. We should have won it in 16. You know, we've fallen away so many times when we've been top in January, February, stuff like that. This is an opportunity now where I look and see Chelsea down in 8th. You lot ain't doing great. Man United are all right, but they're not going to catch us. Yeah, Tottenham, their best start of the season ever in a Premier League season, but they're shit. Like, I don't care what anyone says. That is not my rival. I don't care logistics or whatever. They are not my rival. They win nothing. So they're not gonna compete. Newcastle are a problem because they can go and spend money and will spend money. Man City also are a problem because of the experience, the manager, the players. So I'm just looking at it thinking, well, okay, let's take Newcastle out because they've never been in a title race under this manager with that squad. We're only fighting Man City. Man City ain't looking great. Let's go and stick our foot on them and say, right, we're going to go and buy 3 players. But where do you think we're going to go wrong and not winning it? Like, why? Is it because of that?
I think the main thing that stops you is 2 things. One, City finds a rhythm, very possible thing. And even you going on a 10-game streak where you win 8 of them is still very good for Arsenal for where you thought you'd be at the start of the season. But it might not be City winning 10 out of 10 games, which at that point I think they'd be above you if they won 10 out of 10 and you won 8 out of 10.
If they beat us twice, they're above us, and they've got to play us twice.
There we go. So that's one factor, them just being really, really good again. But they have shown that on a consistent basis they've dropped off, even if it is just a little bit, they've still dropped off. So that's one thing. Next thing, injuries. Reason why I don't see many injuries, because admittedly your squad depth isn't fantastic. When we won the league, ours weren't fantastic as well. What won us the league, though, is the fact that all of our players stay fit. Firmino was there week in, week out. Salah, Mane, Virg, everyone was there week in, week out. You've got such a young squad, such a durable squad. It doesn't seem... I can't think of anyone besides Partey to a degree who is that injury prone in your 11. Maybe you can correct me on a few players, but...
Zinchenko,
fair.
Zinchenko. As first team starters. Now, Martinelli is not so much. He had a long injury, but he's been all right since then.
That's what I'm getting confused.
But short-termers, Thomas Partey definitely can't stay fit. Other than that, it's literally Zinchenko. Yeah, Saka's always fit. Jesus is never injured. It's only really them two. This is where, but we haven't seen a Saliba injury yet for a long term. Then we'll be putting Ben White back at centre back, and he's crap at centre back, in my opinion. Brilliant at right back, by the way. Yeah, but we haven't seen a Jesus injury. And he, like you said, is the key to linking everything together. But I do also think the World Cup's going to play a part in this because we've only got about 4 or 5 first-team starters in their countries. And we've got only, I think, 8 of our first 11 are going. Ramsdale's not a starter. Tomiyasu is. Saliba's not. Ben White, probably not. They're probably going to play Kyle Walker if he's fit, or Trent. Yeah, one of them two. Then Thomas Partey is. Granit Xhaka is. Saka is. Martinelli and Jesus is debatable. Martinelli ain't going to start over Neymar or Vinicius. And Jesus, is he going to start over Richarlison? Don't know. He ain't done for months, years. So I think that's where we have a slight advantage because Man City have got about 15 or 16 players at the World Cup, and most of them are going to start. So I don't know. I think that we can win the league. I don't think we will because I don't think we're going to do what's required in the window to go and do it. And I think we'll bring in one player that will be a squad player. That cool, we need squad players, but it's not going to be a player that's a household name from Premier League experience level. It's going to be somebody from overseas that's going to take a little bit of time to adapt. And the target's fourth, and Arsenal fans love fourth. So they won't budge on their fourth place. It's, oh, well, we were top. But I remember last season, you probably remember this. I think it was between January and February or January and early March. We won 10 out of 13 league games. Yeah. Well, that's pretty much what we've done now. So we know that we can do this. It's just whether we can now do it for a whole consistent season. And so far, listen, we've been the best team to watch in the league. Yeah, bro, I'm sitting here watching it every week and thinking, fucking hell, is this Arsenal? Like, no, this is mad. Yeah, and then I'm seeing performances like players like Saka not having a good game, but then all of a sudden Martinelli steps up. Yeah, Odegaard stepped up the other day when he did fuck all until he scored. Then after that, he was on it. Yeah, and it's like, then I've seen Ben White and Xhaka just mad. And that's why I'm excited about the season, but I'm also one of these that I'm a bit pessimistic based off of the last 18 years.
You have a right.
Because I've seen us do this so many times. Bro, we've been top of the table since 07, 08. I think this is the 6th time we've been top at Christmas, and we ain't ever won the league in any of them.
Well, it's a quite an extreme example, but you know, like a dog who's came from a bad home where it might have received like a bad experiences and whatnot, and then it comes to the new home and it's got to take a while to adapt. Sometimes it's just like that for you. Based on the case study that I've seen from someone who hasn't been as emotionally invested and whatever have you, I think this is completely different to previous case studies. I think with every world-class player that you had before, the Santi Cazorlas, the Ozils in periods, the Sanchez's and stuff like that, I think you had, for as many great world-class players you had in the team, you had 3 more shitty players, to accommodate with them in the midfield or wherever have you. A player that was too old or God knows what the case was. Now I think you've got the healthy balance of a really decent tactical coach who's now got his players who listen to his philosophy and the way he wants to play. He had that for a period last season. Things went a little bit west with the Aubameyang stuff and whatever have you, and nearly got top 4, didn't quite get there. Now these players are a year older. Few players are back. Saliba's made a big impact, and sometimes it's only 2 or 3 players that you need. I don't even think you need... It helps a lot, but I don't think it's a super need for you to go out in January to confirm the league title. Of course, it improves your chances, but I think you can win it with the 11 you've got now. I think you've got a very good 11, and I think someone said to me the other day, in fact, we done a show, I posted it as a clip on my channel, and it was me and my mate Mario, and Mario was saying Arsenal just don't have the experience, they always bottle it. Didn't Liverpool always bottle it? 13-14 we bottled it. There was a few times it, like 08, 09, we bottled it.
Suarez, Sterling front 3, man. You were unreal that season.
And we had a terrible back 4. Back 4.
But that's where you lost it, the back 4.
There we go. But the point is, though, is that we were bottling it loads, but there has to come a time where the cycle ends, and that was when we won the Champions League, finished 2nd, then we won the league the next season. Why can't that season be this year for Arsenal? Why can't the tide change? Why can't a sleeping giant come back to its best? Why? Because we're just going to go on recency bias and go off the last 18 years. Football is a very overall thing, and when you get the right man, the right influence, the right partnership, because Edu, don't get me wrong, there's things that he's done that's very, very seedy, but you know, when you just get the right man, it can sometimes just bring out the best in you. And you might not still be perfect, but it can still be for the absolute benefit of the football club. And I agree, Arsenal have done a lot of PR the same way Liverpool do PR and stuff. But to see out the wave and to come out the other side and get the results that you're getting, I'm not going to lie, lads. I like Mikel. Like I heard Ranch yesterday saying Ten Hag was better. I think that's a very questionable statement this soon. I think there's potential there, but Mikel Arteta's
I think he's just happy they've got a manager he likes.
he's on.
He's seen fucking Jose stink the place out, albeit he did win. Yeah, but then he's seen Ollie just taking the mick for years. Yeah, and I think he's happy with the way that, you know, he's gone in there, dropped Luke Shaw, and now Luke Shaw's come back and he looks a player again. And he's dropped Harry Maguire. He's dropping all the players he don't like. Ronaldo's, and to the point Ronaldo's done an interview and all that.
He has a right to be happy. I don't think he should say better than Mikel Arteta though, because
if you go off of trophies, he is, I suppose, because but his managerial careers. But I get what he's saying. I understand what he's saying. But at the same time, yeah, I put that clip out on TikTok and Insta. Everyone's ripped him, literally ripped him.
Nah, but that's why I like Rance, because he'll just come out and say what he wants.
I get what he's saying. Yeah, I get what he's saying, but
I think he's high on crack cocaine. I don't think there's any kind of I think Ten Hag is a good manager. I think he's done well with Ajax. I think Ajax have got a great attraction to where they can just get really good players. They've got a great youth academy there as well.
And the history with the players that they've had, the Cruyffs and all of them, like Bergkamps and that.
Ajax is just no little team. That's why you should take into consideration the Champions League semi-final and stuff like that. But he had the resources to do it. At United, if he's given the resources, yes, he'll do well. I just think to say this soon, that he's better than Mikel Arteta, when Arteta's got all the potential in the world as well, in my opinion. I don't know, lads. I think it could be a really interesting... You never know. They could be the new Pep and Klopp if you're going forward. Oh, Lee, you're muted.
I do that all the time. You wouldn't know I'm an experienced streamer, would you? Like, next week is 4 years I've had this channel. I don't even know what I'm doing. I've been winging it for 4 years, mate. But yeah, it's kind of mad because I've seen a lot of people. I see Troops come out with his apology the other day to Arteta and that, and I was like, oh my god, it was one of them. It was like, Troops, you've done this a little bit too early, mate. Like, but he can say what he wants. He's an adult. I ain't his boss. I ain't his dad.
That's
like,
hilarious.
He can say what he wants. Yeah,
That's
I just scrolled past it.
Shout out to Rafa, who says Ajax made De Boer look decent. Facts. Like, lad, De Boer was actually doing well there. No, I think the apologies are not warranted. I reckon you'd have more of a right to apologise to him, you know, Lee. I do. I think
I've
you
ruined
just
him.
take it.
I've literally cussed
I
him.
think you just take it a bit, not even too far in a bad way, just too far to where I think you let your emotions override your sense. The past 18 years have been very, very painful for you, so I sympathise with you.
Yeah, man, it's like being in a toxic marriage and that, isn't it? It's like she's 100%. Beating you and all that, like, and then like treating you like an idiot. Like, but you think, well, better the devil I know than the devil I don't know, innit? Like, so I'll keep going back, knowing what you're gonna get. Like, do you know what I'm saying? You know what you're gonna get, but I'll go back rather than starting afresh. Yeah, that's kind of how it is. But the thing with me, James, is he's achieved nothing yet. Like, listen, I love the FA Cup. Yeah, I grew up on watching the FA Cup I don't know exactly how and when you started watching football, but I remember it was a big thing. It was on BBC. It was all over, like, they were following the helicopters, the road to Wembley and all of that. And the FA Cup was a massive event in England, and across the world. That's been diluted now because money's killed football in terms of the cup competitions in England. I mean, like I said, we got knocked out the League Cup the other day, and I was seen as negative because I wanted to stay in it. Now you look at the teams that are left in it, there's you, City and United. Other than that, and one of you two are going out, so that leaves City or Liverpool and United. Why couldn't we stay in it and go and win it? So when we got knocked out of that, I was a bit pissed because I was thinking, well, that tells me that gives us an extra 2 games in January, plus the 2 FA Cup games, plus we've got Newcastle, Everton and Tottenham in January. Yeah, and it's like just coming off the back of a World Cup. That tells me we're not going to go and strengthen, because if they back themselves, that's 7 games in January. Instead, we've now only got 5, I think. 5. So it's like they didn't want them extra 2 games because they want to focus. And I know you have targets as a football club and the League Cup's at the bottom. But for me, it's like, when have Arsenal been in a position to pick and choose what competitions they want to win? Like, and if we end up like, and a lot on my fan cam of that video said, oh, we got bigger fish to fry. If we don't win anything, what was the fish?
Yeah.
Like, because I just look at it and I think, okay, cool, we come top 4. And what? I want you to answer this because I've asked this the other day to Henry. Yeah. Arsenal get Champions League football. There's this myth that goes around that if you get Champions League football, you can attract better world-class players. Yeah. Right. And it is a myth. Right, because Man United signed Pogba and Zlatan in Europa League. We signed Aubameyang, Alaka in Europa League. We signed in the Champions League. We signed Shamak. We signed Yaya Sanogo. We've signed some dross, bro. Right? How many world-class players that were world-class the day they signed for Arsenal? Not ones that we made world-class. How many world-class players in the 22 years that Arsenal got Champions League football? How many world-class signings did Arsenal make that were world-class the day we signed them? Because I can only think of 3.
Ozil. Sanchez.
Yeah.
Say Sanchez?
Yeah, Sol Campbell.
Sol Campbell. Fair.
Other than that, I'm struggling, bro. Yeah, they weren't. Other players, you could say Santi Cazorla and all of that, but listen, I loved Santi. And yes, he was world-class to me, but he weren't world-class when we signed him. And there'll be other players that people will say we're world class, and then,
You
like
actually might be
Arshavin,
right, you know, Lee.
like Arshavin wasn't world class when we signed him. Like he was a
World
top
class against
footballer.
us. World
Yeah,
class
yeah.
against
Well, he
us.
was scoring 4 of that. Mate, that
Uh,
weren't that the game where Walcott ran the whole length of the pitch? Weren't that the
Lads,
game?
yeah,
Yeah,
I hated Theo Walcott. It was just the pace. He was just
he
one of
always
those
done well
unknown
against you
players.
lot, didn't he?
He did.
But no,
I remember when we were really shit and we were linked with Ricky Lambert at the time, and I was like, I'd rather take Theo Walcott. Take Theo Walcott, grab him for 30 mil or whatever it was at the time, and fuck that Ricky Lambert off. But nah, I used to. He was one of those players that I knew weren't like world class. I just shit myself whenever we played him. Do you get what I mean? Because he's just one of those.
But that's the
little
thing. It's like
dangerous
Adama
players.
Traore, bro. Adama Traore.
Yeah.
I was sitting there watching Arsenal Wolves the other day. Everyone was going, "Oh, Adama's a threat." I said, "No, he ain't." I said, "He's just a Wobie with a gym membership. He just runs in straight lines, bro. Literally." And the first time he got the ball, he run in straight lines. It's so easy to defend against him because all he does is run in straight lines. All you got to do is just put two round him and just squeeze him out. That's it. He did nothing. But this is my point. Champions League football doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to go and get world-class footballers. So this myth of that, and this is why I get the ump with, oh, let's get Champions League. Okay, so you failed by not winning the league. So you come first, second, or third loser to qualify for a competition that you're never going to bother winning because you're not going to go and sign the players required to go and win it. So on that basis, you now need luck. Yeah, but are Arsenal lucky enough to now go and do what's required to get to the final? No, we're not. Because we've only been to one in 22 years with a proper manager and proper players.
Yeah.
And even then, we should have won it. I still have memories about Henry missing them one-on-ones. It still haunts me to this day because you'd put anything on him scoring that one-on-one, man. But we got battered in a... and this is why I don't like Project Youth. Like, listen, we've been fantastic this season. I'm not knocking it, yeah? And he deserves some credit because he's making me shut up. Yeah, which is all I want, James. Yeah, if he wins, if he gets me in a title race or this club in a title race for the last 4 or 5 games of the season, and we're within 6 points or above City, yeah, then I'll sit there, give him a round of applause, and say, do you know what? Fair play, because I didn't think he was the guy. Yeah, and he's made me shut up, and that's all I want is to compete. Don't have to go and win it, but just put me in a title race. That's why we knocked the stadium down. That's why we've been giving it about top 4. Oh, we had to sell players and all of this crap over the last 18 years. To get into points where we should be competing. So if he competes for the whole season, then I'll go, yeah, fair enough. But now we then have to go again the next season. And this is where I think that if we get Champions League football, yes, you get a bit extra more money. Of course you do. And you don't play on a Thursday night, the Emmerdale Cup. But we then need to go and do big dough. Because if you look at our squad, you said it earlier, our squad's good in terms of first 11. Our first 11 on paper is probably up there with City. Yeah, it's not as good as City's, but it's up there. Yeah. But it's the squad. You're looking at the bench: Reece Nelson, Cedric, Holding, Marquinhos, Turner, the goalkeeper. After that, Eddie Nketiah. I mean, it's not exactly scaring anyone, is it? So now you've got to go and do 4 or 5 bench players at least to get the squad level up. That's going to cost you at least 150 million for them players 5 on the bench at 30 million a pop. Yeah. So now you've got to do that because if you want to compete in the Champions League, you can't put a reserve team out like you do in the Europa League to save your first team for the league. And this is why I want us to do it in January, because we're in a great opportunity now. Go and do the dough in Jan. So then in the summer, you can get rid of Cedric and get rid of Holding and you just go and replace them too. That's it. You don't maybe
quick devil's advocate on that though. Say if you've got option A, option B, and option C for each position of where you say if you want to sign a midfielder, he's my option. Say if none of them are available in January, because it is also factually proven there is more mitigating circumstances when it comes to completing deals in January. It is literally a harder transfer window. And I think if you don't have option A, option B, option C, and you're going to go with option D, but that doesn't benefit you mostly in the long term, do you just hold back a little bit and say, right, look where we are now with the squad that we've got. And instead of going out and spending 30, 40, 50 to 100 million in January, wait till the summer, kick on, get more or increase the chances of getting option A, B, or C, and still do what we've been doing with the players that we've got. What do you think's more beneficial and what do you think's more risky?
I hear you, and I agree with what you're saying, 100%. But if Arsenal are top of the table come the 1st of January, which I believe we will be, because we've got West Ham and Brighton, and then the January window opens, we will be top of the table. Yeah, we're in London, so that gives us an advantage on buying players because we're in the capital. We can pay the money. And we're going to guarantee get European football at some level. Yeah, the chances are it will be Champions League football. But if we went toddling off down to Brentford, Ivan Toney don't have to relocate. He can stay living where he lives, bro. Come and play for Arsenal. We're going to be in a title race for the rest of the season. We're definitely getting in Champions League football. Brighton to play hard, Brentford to play hardball because it's their main guy. Slap 65 million on the table. They're fucking taking it, bro.
Yeah.
They need. They're not exactly like. Listen, every Premier League team has big money, but they're not exactly flush with dough. And we're Arsenal. We should be able to bully them. Wilfried Zaha, I don't really rate Zaha that highly. Yeah, I think that he doesn't have a great output. But then again, he plays for Palace. He is their best player. Don't think anyone can argue that. But for me, he just downs tools way too often and sits on the deck crying rather than getting up and getting on with it. But he's out of contract in the summer.
Yeah.
So why not go and bully them? Say, right, we'll give you 25 M's. We could even go to Brentford and say, right, there's Eddie and Nketiah and 40 mil. Give us Ivan Toney.
You could do
I know
that.
it's
And
harder, but
it is.
We're Arsenal, bro. It's the same as Liverpool. If Liverpool were in that position, I'd expect you to be able to bully them as well.
I agree. I just think from a very business point of view in a market that's very inflated and money that's not ours, and I just think of it from, I can say I want all these things, and you're bang on. I'm not even saying you're wrong that you getting these players is not going to improve your chance. Of course it will, no doubt about it. And from a fan point of view, you have every right to increase your chances of getting that league title. The only thing is, from their perspective, is it financially viable? Is it all these things? It's just, you have got to take it into consideration. And I believe Arsenal do want to take the turn for the better. I don't know any businessmen who don't want to maximise their self-run business. But, like you said, the patterns have been there before where you've got top four, you've kicked on for the league, just haven't done quite enough. I just think right now, just be careful, because if you do go and spend 40, 50 million and say you miss out on the league anyway, which is still very possible, 3 signings doesn't guarantee you the league, then you're in a position where that probably takes away from the other options that you could have got in the summer, which could have made you kick on next season. That's the only thing I'd say, being careful with that strategy.
We binned 6 players off last January, didn't replace any of them, and then bottled top 4. If we had got one player in, maybe we would have been Champions League and it's a different outcome. But listen, bro, I'm going live with Flawless. I've just put his link in the chat. James, it's been a pleasure, man. I could talk to you for hours, man. It flew by 52 minutes.
Quality.
We're doing this again on Sunday, right? On your channel.
Oh, yes. It's going to be pre-recorded, though, chat, so it'll be out maybe somewhere on the Sunday, but with all the games, I might post it Monday, so that'll be the idea behind that. We'll work out a time that we do that.
I think there's only one game on the World Cup on Sunday. I think that's 4 p.m. kickoff.
Flying then, so they might actually be out on the Sundays, but we'll sort it.
What you got coming up for the rest of the week, man?
So I've had a few days break. I'm taking the advantage of the World Cup coming along, but I've got plenty of content plans up here. I'm going to be starting again tomorrow with the live streams. I'm doing a live stream with Saeed tomorrow on my channel. I'm going to be doing a few Redmond roundups with the funny music and the head bobbling and that. If you don't know the score, go check them out. And lads, that's all that I've got going on. But Lee, I appreciate coming on. Is right to the chat as well for being interactive and just constantly getting in there.
Always crazy, man. The chat love you as well. Very quickly, I've got two super chats to rifle through. Lee and James, check your Insta messages, blah, blah, blah. Love your content. Do you think Liverpool still get top 4? We spoke about that. Big up, Stephen. Appreciate it. And Chike says, do you see England going out in the group stage? Because of the way we play, I can see USA and Wales beating you 2-0. Bro, I'm Argentina fan. I've not seen a single top...
Brazil!
Hey, are we allowed to support other teams, or is that toxic and negative?
I'm Brazil, lad. I'm Scouse, so I think I get a bit more leeway than you, Lee. But lad, I'm Brazil. Brazil, lad. Dani Alves is going to win a World Cup at 39.
I've not seen any England fan, come into my messages after I've said I'm supporting Argentina, what with the Falklands and all of them ones, I've not seen anyone say, oh, you're fake. If you can't see what Southgate's doing, you can fuck off to the Welsh, mate. I ain't seen none of that. None of that. So anyway, but listen, it's been class, man. Big up to everyone in this chat. I'm on with Flawless right now, people. So I'm going to go take a toilet break quickly. Flawless's channel link is in the chat. James's is in the title. So make sure if you haven't subscribed to James's channel, hit the blue hyperlink in the title. I'll have some clips out of this show later tonight or early hours of the morning and tomorrow maybe. So keep your eyes peeled for that on the channel as well. And we're out of here, man. Adios, amigos. Arteta in.